Hello, my name is Lisa Jett, and I will be telling you The Snow Queen, an extract from the tale by Hans Christian Andersen. Once upon a time, there was a wicked sprite who made a mirror that made all that was good and beautiful look poor and mean, while that which was good for nothing and ugly looked even more good for nothing and ugly. If a good thought passed through a man's mind, then a grin was seen in the mirror, and the sprite laughed heartily at his clever discovery. All the little sprites thought that they would fly up to the sky, have a joke there. The higher they flew with the mirror, the more terribly it grinned. They could hardly hold it fast. Suddenly it shook so terribly with grinning that it flew out of their hands and fell to the earth, where it was dashed in 100,000,000 and more pieces. Now it worked much more evil than before, for some of the pieces were hardly so large as a grain of sand. They flew into people's eyes, and then people were attached to what was evil. Some people even got a splinter in their hearts, and then their heart became like a lump of ice. Many of the splinters were carried aloft by the air and then blown about the wide world. At this time, there lived in a large town two little children, a boy called Kay and a girl named Greta. They were not brother and sister, but they cared for each other as much as if they were. Their houses were next to each other, and there was to the roof of each house a small window. In summer, when the windows were open, they could get to each other with one jump over the gutter. The children liked nothing more than to sit together at the windows and talk each other by the hand, often kissing the roses in their window boxes and looking up at the clear sunshine. One day, Kay and Greta were at the windows looking at a picture book when Kay said, "Oh, I feel such a sharp pain in my heart, and now something has got into my eye." Greta put her arms around his neck. He winked his eyes, and now there is nothing to be seen. "I think it is out now," said he, but it was not. It was one of those pieces of glass from the magic mirror that had got into his eye. Poor Kay had got another piece right in his heart. "It looks so ugly," he suddenly said to Greta, "and these roses are very ugly, just like the boxes they are planted in." And then he gave a box kick with his foot and pulled a rose out. "What are you doing?" cried the little girl, and as Kay perceived her fright, pulled up another rose, got in the window, and hastened off. Afterwards he was able to imitate the gait and manner of everyone in the street. Everything that was peculiar and displeasing in them, Kay knew how to imitate and make everybody laugh, except the person being made fun of. But it was the glass he had got in his eye, glass that was sticking his heart, which made him tease even little Greta, whose whole soul was devoted to him. One winter's day, when flakes of snow were flying about, Kay spread the skirts of his coat and caught the snow as it fell. "Look through the glass, Greta," said he, and every flake seemed larger, appeared like a magnificent flower, or a beautiful star. It was splendid to look at. "Look how clever," said Kay. "That's much more interesting than real flowers." It was not long after this that Kay came one day with large gloves on and his little sledge in his back, and bawled into Greta's ears, "I have permission to go out square where the others are playing," and off he was in a moment. There in the marketplace, some of the boldest boys used to tie their sledges to the carts as they passed by, and so they were pulled along and got a good ride. Soon a large sled passed by. It was painted quite white, and there was someone in it wrapped up in a rough white mantle of fur, with a rough white fur cap on his head. The sledge drove round the square twice, and Kay tied on his sledge as quickly as he could, and off he drove with it. On they went quicker and quicker into the next street. The person who drove turned round to Kay and nodded to him in a friendly manner, just as if they knew each other. Every time he was going to untie his sledge, the person nodded to him, and then Kay sat quiet. And so on they went till they came outside the gates of the town. Then the snow began to fall so thickly that the little boy could not see an arm's before him, but still on he went. Suddenly he let go of the string he held in his hand in order to get loose from the sledge, but it was no use. Still the little vehicle rushed on with the quickness of the wind. Kay then cried as loud as he could, but no one heard him. The snow drifted and the sledge flew on, and sometimes it gave a jerk as though they were driving over hedges and ditches. Kay was quite frightened, and he tried to repeat the Lord's Prayer. He was only able to remember his times tables. The snowflakes grew larger and larger. Last they looked just like a great white floes. Suddenly they flew on one side. The large sledge stopped, and the person who drove rose up. It was a lady. Her cloak and cape was snow. She was tall and of slender figure and of dazzling brightness. It was the Snow Queen. "We have traveled fast," said she. "It is freezing cold. Come under my bearskin." And she put him in the sledge beside her, wrapped the fur round him, and he felt as though he were sinking in a snowdrift. "Are you still cold?" asked she, and then she kissed his forehead. Ah, it was colder than ice. It penetrated to his every forehead. Ah, it was to his very heart, which was already almost a frozen lump. It seemed to Kay as if he were able to die. But a moment more, and it was quite congealed to him, and he did not notice the cold that was round him. My sledge! Do not forget my sledge! It was the first thing he thought of. It was there tied to one of the white chickens, who flew along with it on his back behind the large sledge. The Snow Queen kissed Kay once more, and then he forgot about little Greta, grandmother, and all whom left at his home. Kay thought she was very beautiful. In his eyes she was perfect, and he did not fear all. He looked upwards in the large, huge empty space above him, and on she flew with him, high over the black clouds, while the storm moaned and whistled as though it were singing some old tune. On they flew over woods and lakes, over seas, many lands, and beneath them the chilling storm rushed fast. The wolves howled, the snow crackled. Above them flew large screaming cows, but higher up appeared the room, quite large and bright, and it was on it that Kay gazed during the long, long winter's night, while by day he slept at the feet of the Snow Queen. What became of little Greta when Kay did not return? Where could he be? Nobody knew. Nobody could give any information. All the boys knew was that they had seen him tie his sledge to another large, splendid one, which drove down the street and out of town. Nobody knew where he was. Many sad tears were shed, and little Greta wept long and bitterly. She said that he must have been drowned in the river that flowed close to the town, that alas, he must be dead. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this excerpt of The Snow Queen, and I hope I didn't scare you too much, and